just to give you a little background, for those of you that may not know much about UC-AFT, we are the union that represents over 6,000 lecturers and librarians across the UC. And we teach in a wide variety of undergraduate and graduate programs. So while you're all here, the first thing we want to get you to do, especially if you're a student, is to scan this QR code that you see. If you see that QR code, scan it, or you can go to weteachuc.org and you'll see a button that says Stand with Teaching Faculty. It's so important. We really need all of our students to sign up and do that. So please scan that while you're here today. The other thing I want to share about lectures, I've already told you, we have 6,000 across the state. Just at UC Berkeley this semester, there are 1,200 lectures. 1,200 lectures, and we are responsible for 40% of the student credit hours on campus. You can just imagine that. So that's just how important we are to the teaching mission. So I want to say a big shout out to all of our allies who are here today. So I see AFSCME, UPD, UAW 2865, 5810. We also have allies from Peralta Federation of Teachers here supporting us. We have our librarians. Raise your hand if you're a librarian. And very importantly, we also have Senate faculty from Berkeley Faculty Association. Raise your hand if you're a Senate faculty member. We also have so many of our student associations here. We have YDSA here today. We have UC Green New Deal. So many student allies, and it just really warms our heart to have you all here. So why are we here today? Lecturers have been working without a contract for 1.5 years. We've been bargaining for 2.5 years. Who's exhausted? We are exhausted by it, okay? And we're here to call on the one person who has the power to bring everyone to the table and settle a fair contract. And who is that person? President Drake. And as you can see from our signs, he's been missing. He has said a lot about the importance of equity in healthcare, but he has not said a word since taking office about our contract negotiations. And he would like to ignore us, but we will not let him ignore us. We will not let him silence us. And this rally today is to call attention to him, okay? To call attention to him, to make him have to respond. So the other thing we would love you to do as students right now, not just students, but everyone who's here, is to take a picture of the rally. Take a picture of the rally and tweet it at UC Pres Drake. So he has his own Twitter account, if you don't know. But, you know, if students are tweeting at him, he will listen. So if everyone can do that, take a picture of the sign, and write, where is President Drake? Where is he? Settle a fair contract with UC-AFT now. So our handle is at UC-AFT. His is at UC Pres Drake. So if you could do that, that would really help support our campaign today. If you're an active tweeter, to repost the tweets you see today, to call attention to him. That is a direct line that we have to him. We have called him out to meet with us. He has never responded, okay? So let's make him listen. All right, when I say, whose university is it, you say, our university. Whose university? Our university! Our first speaker is a fellow lecturer from UC Merced. Actually, I should have called that out. We have lecturers who came from all across the state to be here today, from Merced, from Santa Cruz, from Davis, and from UCLA. They traveled here to be here to call on President Drake. So our first speaker is Shannon Garland, UC Merced lecturer. Shannon, let's give her a big hand.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to try to keep my screen from going dark. My name is Shannon Garland. I'm a pre-sex lecturer at UC Merced and a proud member of UC-AFT, the Union for Lecturers and Librarians at the University of California. I'm here today to ask, where is President Michael Drake? UC Merced, where I work, is a Hispanic-serving institution where 75% of students are the first in their families to go to college and less than 10% are white. I'm proud to teach these sons and daughters of California at a public research university. But 60% of classes at UC Merced are taught by lecturers like me who have no security of employment until at least their 6th year of teaching, and often much more. And they can only get that job security if they teach full-time at the same campus in the same department, a condition most lecturers at the UC do not have. To be clear, the job security of the continuing lecturer status was not granted to us by the administration. Rather, this union, our union, won that condition by going on strike in 2002. Now we're asking President Drake to avoid another strike by signing a contract with simple, common-sense measures that will bring job security to the over 70% of UC teaching faculty who are part-time, shuttling back and forth between UC campuses and other colleges throughout the state, wondering if they'll be able to pay rent in some of the most unaffordable cities in the country. When Michael Drake became president of the UC in the summer of 2020, he emphasized and continues to emphasize equity, diversity, and inclusion. President Drake, I would like to know, where is the equity in letting go over 2,000 Unit 18 lecturers in the middle of a pandemic, as you did last fall? Where's the equity in reducing the amount of lecturers with UC-sponsored health care during the same health crisis? Where's the equity in a median annual salary of less than $20,000? Where's the equity in the fact that at most UC campuses, even full-time lecturers fall below the low-income threshold for the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development? Where's the equity in removing mentorship for students, as most lecturers are churned out of the UC system within 2 years? Where's the equity, I would like to know, of giving lecturers awards for teaching excellence while denying them the merit pay that their own departments have already approved, all because the UC refuses to implement evaluation standards for Unit 18 professors? This is a real thing that's happening on my campus right now. Get a teaching award, get merit pay approved, get denied the pay by someone higher up. How can the University of California be diverse, equitable, and inclusive when the majority of professors who can make a career out of teaching continue to be white men, while our members, majority women, and more likely to be non-white than their Senate faculty peers, are denied access to paid family leave and have to reapply for their own jobs every single year? President Michael Drake, where are you? If you believe in transforming the UC as you say you do, and making it a truly inclusive, diverse, and equitable place for Californians and beyond, stop ignoring the professors who dedicate their lives to teaching its students. We've been bargaining for 2.5 years. It's time for you to respond to the over 1,000 letters we've sent you, and to sign a contract with UC-AFT that includes fair compensation and workload, standards for evaluation and promotion that will allow us to deliver the excellent, experienced teaching UC is known for. Where are you, President Drake?
Where's Drake?
I like to lead us in a chant. It goes like this. Hey, yo, Drake, are you a flake? Why won't you show your face? Hey, yo, Drake, are you a flake? Why won't you show your face? All right, there's another line. It goes like this. Hey, yo, Drake, are you a flake? We teach for the students' sake. Hey, yo, Drake, are you a flake? We teach for the students' sake. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you, Shannon. If you're just joining us, please remember to take a picture and call on President Drake. Tweet at him. Tell him he needs to respond to our contract demands. There was one other thing I wanted to say in my remarks, which is in May, our members overwhelmingly voted to authorize a strike if we felt it was necessary. I want to be clear, though. I I want to be clear. We don't want to go on strike, but we feel we are running out of options. After 2.5 years, 50 bargaining sessions, the UC is still unwilling to negotiate over our key demands. That's why we feel this is where we're at right now, right? So we are calling on him now, end the negotiations, settle a fair contract that brings better job stability and a living wage to lecturers. So the next guest we have, I'm so excited to announce, is Catherine Liebarger of AFSCME. Let's give her a big applause.
Drake, not that we expected you here at the rally with us. We know you don't want to be here. Trust, we don't want to be here either. We would rather be at the bargaining table with you, settling a contract. So what we really want to know is, where are you, Drake, on the question of equity? When you lay off or when you sever teachers in the middle of a pandemic, where are you? Where are you on the question of job security? When you don't come to the table and stand with the lecturers, you're nowhere, and that's why we're out here. We also know that Drake would like nothing more than to be far, far away from this and say, oh, well, no, we have a process. Look, you know, the folks at the table, they represent everything, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is, it is up to Drake. And the way to get Drake to the table is to make it so that he cannot afford not to be at the table. This needs to be a crisis for the president, because it is a crisis that he is building for teaching here at the university. When he doesn't stand with lecturers, he does not stand with students either, or with the rest of us. So when it comes to building the crisis, everything that you are doing is what gets the goods. Being out here today to put them on notice, being ready, as I understand, to run a few pickets later in October, and, if you must, having to go on strike. From my own experience as the leader of 3299 and as a gardener here at UC Berkeley, it took us 3 years to settle a contract where our main demand was job security. 3 years and no less than 6 strikes. 6 over the course of that time. And every time, I'm not saying that it's cause and effect, I'm not saying that, but there just seemed to be a pattern that emerged. UC would say we have no movement, or we're going to break some labor practices and act unfairly. And then we would either strike for no movement, or we would strike because of unfair labor practices. And then somehow we'd manage to get back to the table, and there would be some movement. And this pattern would just sort of like repeat and repeat until eventually, when we threatened an open-ended strike, we managed to settle a contract with job security that already has seen thousands of outsourced workers who do our work at UC now holding UC jobs. So I'll put it bluntly, striking gets the goods if that's what you've got to do. And if that's what you got to do, nothing less than that is going to get you what you need. The final thing I'll say, the second to final, is that solidarity gets the goods. We've got students out here with incredible power. We've got other UC unions, other teaching unions out here. We've got community ready to support, standing with you. 3299 stands with UC-AFT. And the final thing I'll say, it's just the basic formula. When you fight, you win. When you don't quit, you win. Never give up until you know you've got what you want. Because when we fight, when we fight, when we fight, all right, let's go get it.
Thank you so much, Catherine. We recognition from AFSCME and their accomplishments through their direct actions. So, just a reminder, if you're showing up, please take a picture and tweet at Drake, and please sign our community petition. Okay, next we have Dan Russell from UPD. Dan.
Hey, how you doing, everybody? So I've been reading the headlines lately, and I heard that UC Berkeley is now the #1 university in the country. The first time that's ever been a public university. Was it the chancellor that made UC Berkeley the #1 university in the country? Was it the vice chancellors that made UC Berkeley the #1 university? Was it President Drake who made UC the #1 university? Who was it? It was you and thousands of other union workers who have fought for the kind of working conditions, the kind of learning conditions, and the kind of wages that allow us to make a career here, that allow us to deliver the best education and to do the best research in the country. And we should be proud of that, and we should continue fighting for that. As my sister Catherine just put so eloquently, those things were not just given down from on high. They were fought for by workers, by students, and that's the kind of coalition that we have to build and that we have to maintain if we want to keep UC such a great place to learn and such a great place to work. And like my sister Catherine, I was on UPD's bargaining team in tough contract negotiations that took us more than 2 years. It started in 2017. And like my brothers and sisters in AFSCME, we had to go on strike in historic numbers for the first time to win the kind of contract that we deserve. Now that's not how it should be, but that's the reality that we have to deal with. You've been fighting for 2 long years too. I know it's hard, and I know sometimes it doesn't look like we're going to win. But point to the examples of the victories in the past, of the contracts that have been won by other unions. Keep up your strength. Know that UPD will be standing with you, that the rest of your union brothers and sisters will be standing with you, and do whatever it takes. So we stand with you in demanding that President Drake come to the table and bring the contract that you deserve. So let's see if we can make him hear us. Where is Drake? 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 Well, let's hope that in very short time he'll be where he needs to be at the bargaining table, settling a fair contract with you. Thank you for doing this valuable work to make sure that you can provide the best education to students and the best life for you and your families. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Dan and UPD. The solidarity is everything. So we really, again, learn from and are inspired by our other union allies on campus and everything they've accomplished. And when we fight, we win! When we fight, we win! All right. Our next speaker is Kavita Iyengar of UAW 2865. That's the union that represents grad students and other student teachers.
Hey everyone, it's great to see so many people out here today. This is an important fight. My name's Kavita. I'm in Jurisprudence and Social Policy, and I'm the Northern Vice President of Local 2865. I'm also here on behalf of the 47,000 GSIs, student researchers, postdocs, and academic researchers at UC. Student researchers who President Drake has yet to recognize as the biggest new union at UC this year. Well, Drake's got to show up, right? As a union leader of teachers and researchers at UC, I've seen firsthand how the university undervalues all of our work. Time and again, they increase enrollments and expectations without the resources that we need to survive and to thrive. I know our unions support expanding access to UC and maintaining quality education. Without lecturers' working conditions improving, the university won't be able to keep promising high-quality education to UC's deserving students. And lecturers' working conditions matter, right? Not only for the quality of education at UC, but also for the thousands of student employees who are looking at jobs, looking to see what happens next. Grad students come to UC with a bunch of high hopes and false promises. Everyone has constant anxiety, everyone I talk to, about faculty jobs that barely exist when you finish grad school in certain fields, running on a rat race with no end in sight. And they're worried about being a lecturer because they see just how overworked, underpaid, and precarious those jobs are. And it doesn't have to be this way, right? We can fight, we can win, we can change job security at the university when we all come together. Because our collective power can change this. And I really hope President Drake's here to hear it. Otherwise, we'll all be seeing him on the informational picket lines next week, in a few weeks in October. Yeah! Because whose university? Our university! Whose university? Our university! Really excited for UC-AFT to win.
Thank you so much, Kavita. I also want to recognize we also have the president of the Oakland Educators Association, president of the Alameda Labor Council here, Keith. Thank you for being here, Keith. The Alameda Labor Council is so important to advance collective bargaining and the rights of workers across the county. Thank you for being here. Okay, next is James here. Not sure if he's here. Oh, Kamisa. I'm sorry. Next is Kamisa Kiever from YDSA and his colleague.
Hello, everyone. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah. Perfect. Hello, everyone. I'm Kamisa Kiever, and I'm an organizer with Cal YDSA. With my organization, I've been resisting this recent tuition hike, and I'm happy to call AFT allies in this struggle as well. As such, I'm proud to stand in solidarity with you all, and I'll speak to my own experience. During a particularly hard period in all our lives last fall, a lecturer in the Global Studies Department, which I'm a part of, Professor Karen Randawa, you know her. She's also a lecturer with AFT. She was a particularly kind mentor to me, so I'm genuinely thankful to all of you and what you do for us students. So the UC Regents are meeting today. These are the people that make the lives of our families and ourselves harder. The administration cuts our professors, doesn't provide affordable housing, all whilst increasing their own salaries. And they point to these problems to get more funding when they themselves are creators of our conditions. When facing such deplorable adversaries, we band together as students, faculty, and workers, as we have today. And as an organized collective acting strategically, we can effectively change our material conditions. As such, it is not only my honor, but an obligation to stand here. The conditions our lecturers face are ostensibly our conditions, and when they suffer, we suffer. So together, we refuse to have our education commodified and financialized. This is a public institution and not a Fortune 500 company. Where are you, Michael Drake? Faculty, students, and our families have given far too much already. So be true to your words and show up for this community. Hold on, I've wanted to do this for a while. Whose university? Our university! Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kamisa. It really means the world to us when our students show up for us. We know that you know the contribution that we make. So if a lecturer has made a difference in your education, please make some noise. Okay, I also want to draw attention to the fact that we will be having informational pickets on October 13th and 14th and rallies at noon, right across the way on the steps of MLK. So please mark your calendars and help us show up for that, to also call on attention to Drake to settle our contract. Okay, our next distinguished guest is Leslie Souzinger from BFA, Berkeley Faculty Association. Let's welcome Leslie.
Thanks, Crystal. Hello, everybody. So I am Leslie Souzinger. I am one of the co-chairs of the Berkeley Faculty Association. I'm also a member of the Gender Studies faculty, and I'm here today to speak in the interests of all of us in the decent treatment of lecturers on this campus. This is a public institution. It was originally set up to train the citizens of California to be full participating members of the community of the state. And the state has benefited from that over many, many decades. But in the last 50 years, no, the last 30 years, the state has shifted that to increasingly look to private funding. And that funding means that they get funding for a nice new building with somebody's name on it, for a special program that may be a really good program, but they're not getting the funding they need to run the institution. And then they're squaring that circle by cheating lecturers, by paying people less and not really having enough money for the actual running of the institution as a whole. That is a solution that more befits some kind of corporate fly-by-night factory than it befits a public institution. And we need the administrators here, President Drake and the entire rest of the administration, to have the courage of their convictions to show that we are a public institution and we believe that the state should be funding us fully. And instead of trying to fix the problem by underpaying and churning through underpaid instructional staff, we should pay everybody decently and push the state to actually support the institution as a public institution. So I want to say, as a member of the Senate faculty, that the way that the negotiating goes is not in our name. It is not in our interests. It is not in the interests of students. It is not in the interests of Senate faculty, for the people who teach our students to be underpaid on this campus. It is in our interests for people to have consistent rehiring rights where they know what's going on, where a student who is taught by somebody today can go back to that person in several years and know they can get a reference because they know they'll still be there. It is not in our interest to have the lecturers on this campus be underpaid and mistreated by the institution. So I say the negotiators need to step up and negotiate fairly. President Drake should meet directly with AFT to understand what's at stake. And instead of continuing to try and balance our budget on the backs of lecturers, we should go to Sacramento, all of us together, the unions, the students, and the Senate faculty, and push for full funding for the institution. And so, President Drake, I ask you, President Drake, lead us to go to Sacramento, have the courage of our convictions, and show them that we work as a public institution instead of trying to do that work on the cheap. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Leslie and Paul and everyone else from Berkeley Faculty Association that has been so supportive of lecturers. We all have a common shared interest, and that is the success of our students and instructional excellence at this university. I just want to remind everyone before our keynote speaker and beloved leader, Mia Macgyver, president of UC-AFT, before we do that, I just hope nobody will leave after her remarks, because we want to get everyone up here in a big picture. And it's that big picture and all of you here today demanding that President Drake address our contract negotiations. Okay, so don't go anywhere. So last but definitely not least, our beloved and fearless leader, Mia Macgyver. Give her a big round of applause.
Okay, I'm going to say UC, and you say AFT. UC, AFT. UC, AFT. UC, AFT. UC, AFT. Let's keep it going. Hey, Michael Drake, ignoring us is a big mistake. Hey, Michael Drake, ignoring us is a big mistake. Hey, Michael Drake, ignoring us is a big mistake. Hey, Michael Drake, ignoring us is a big mistake. Yeah. I'm
I'm so happy to see all of you here today. My name is Macgyver. I am incredibly proud to teach as a lecturer at UCLA, and I'm incredibly proud to serve our community as the president of UC-AFT. It's a beautiful fall day today, and I want to know, can you feel it in the air? Can you feel the change that is coming in the air? Because it's coming. Because we are making that change happen. 2.5 years of bargaining, 2.5 years of action, a summer of mediation, still no contract. Who are we booing? Who's responsible for this impasse? That's right. President Drake is the man in power. President Drake sets the tone. We have been here. Lecturers have been here. We've been present. We've been engaged. We've been prepared. We've been constructive. We've bargained in good faith. And you know what? We've also taught through a pandemic this whole time. President Drake, where are you? If you were a student in my class, you would be getting a failing grade for participation. President Drake, we demand that you recognize the value of our work, not with platitudes or cliches or a lot of hot air, but with a fair contract now. President Drake, we demand that you keep your promise that you made to students and their families when you raised their tuition. You said tuition hikes would go to reduced class sizes, would go to reinvestment in faculty, would go to promoting diversity and equity. Well, guess what? All of that means a fair contract for lecturers now. We refuse to be left behind. We're just not going to do it. President Drake, we demand that you put your values into action by supporting the women and the people of color who teach as lecturers. We've had enough of teaching as a part-time and temporary and low-wage gig, and we're not going to take it anymore. President Drake, we demand that you do right by the people of California, whose taxpayer dollars went to a 5% increase in the state funding for the University of California this year. We thank Governor Newsom and we thank the legislature for that historic investment, that historic increase. Some call that a raise for the university, a cost of living increase for the university. Well, guess what? We are not going to be left out of that prosperity, and we will hold you accountable to the people of California for spending that money where it belongs, which is to support direct classroom instruction that lecturers provide. If we are forced to strike, it will be over things that most workers take for granted and most employers take for granted. Performance reviews, merit-based retention, consistent workload standards, and sustaining wages. If we are forced to strike over these things, it will be because President Drake's administration is not reasonable.
Right.
So, the future of our university is at stake. Our teaching is the beating heart of this university. And our teaching deserves more, our students deserve more, and we deserve more. So, if President Drake does not agree, then we will see him on the picket line. If President Drake doesn't show up, where do we go next? The picket line. October 13th, October 14th, that's where we'll be. And when we get there, this is what we'll say. Join with me. Say it loud, shut it down. UC is a union town. Say it loud, shut it down. UC is a union town. Say it loud, shut it down. UC is a union town.
Definitely. Well, hi, I'm David Walter. I'm a what they call a pre-6 lecturer here at Berkeley. I teach in 2 departments currently, English and comparative literature. And I have about a cumulative of about 5 years of teaching time credits here at the university.
So what are the issues here that you're out here today for?
We're really mostly very intensely focused on rehiring rights, because lecturers have essentially been, we're in a 2-tier system. On the bottom tier, we get churned in and out based on departmental whims, basically. So what it amounts to is kind of the second tier is a gig labor force, and that's what we are, basically. We go into a pool, and the departments pick us out capriciously when they want to, and there really is no guarantee of rehiring. So we are really focused on rehiring rights and job stability, health benefits, and keeping lecturers safe and stable when they're in their jobs. We think that only helps students more.
So when you talk about a gig situation, is the University of California policy, is that the management policy, the regent's policy?
I couldn't speak for their policy because I think there's a lot of de facto policy going on that doesn't come out, officially. But I mean, they've become, for lack of a better word, no, actually this is probably the better word, corporatized. And so what they like to do is keep their labor on their heels, so that they can manage it and not have to pay them anything, right? So if you keep on kind of just picking up professors or faculty and dropping them and picking them up and dropping them, we're constantly reapplying for these positions. A lot of us are applying for other jobs while we're teaching here, so the situation with the students is that they're not getting, even though we teach 40% of the credit hours here, right? It's not just one of these casual, a spousal hire, so we got to get someone with a law degree, let's get them a job. It's what they've done is they've taken on more and more gig labor in the form of lecturers. They also depend on graduate student instructors, TAs, and even undergrads. They're hiring an enormous amount of undergrads now to teach classes. And so all of that stuff is why you're seeing a bigger union presence on the University of California campuses.
How many members do you have?
We have 6,500 members active at any given time, about 5,000. And that's system-wide, and that includes the professional schools, the law schools, and that type.
So you've been negotiating with them?
Yes, we've been negotiating with them for over 2 years, and we've been off contract. Our contract expired January 1st, 2020. So we've been off contract since January 2020. The university has been in no hurry to negotiate with us. I've been to several of these negotiations, all of them, I should say, and their negotiators are masters in stalling, trying to create confusion, trying to create bad conversations, and wanting us to get fatigued in this goal of ours, which is to get a fair contract that includes rehiring rights, a living wage, and workload limits that are manageable for us, because we do a lot of work that we're not, let's just say it's not billable. We do mentoring, we write letters of recommendation, we are on committees, all kinds of things like that doesn't get paid. So we want that to count.
And the university apparently spends millions of dollars for lawyers to fight the unions. Do you think that's a good place for money to be spent by the University of California?
Do you know what the university spends money on besides lawyers? They pay $200,000 a year. They also spend a lot of money on administrators for their Wall Street debt. As a matter of fact, there's been tons more administrators hired in the past decade or two than actual teachers. So the question question is, are they still in the education business, or are they in some other kind of business?
Well, when you talk about the corporatization of the university, what does that mean concretely?
I mean, I think it has to do with a mentality that they're trying to pump out. They're trying to pump people into the labor force through the professional schools, and on the way to doing that, they've kind of verticalized. So the decision makers are really only concerned with bottom lines, budgets, and stuff like that. They're not concerned with treating their teachers fairly, and really, so that's kind of what I have in mind when I say that.
The regents are appointed by the governor. Is there any support among the regents for your fight?
Can you repeat the question?
The regents are appointed by the governor. Is there any support among regents for your fight?
We're trying to get anybody's support we can. The regents are meeting right now. They're in a meeting with President Drake, and this is what brings us out here. We haven't heard from the regents or from President Drake or from any of the chancellors or vice chancellors about our cause. They're unresponsive, and that's why the theme of today's rally is, where is Drake? We really want to know where he is. He's making almost $900,000 a year, come over from Ohio State, and he has been absolutely silent about this issue going on. And so we would really like to know where he stands on this, and we'd really like to enlist his help and the help of the regents, because it can only help the university to give us a fair contract.
And the university has gotten more money apparently from the state. I mean, COVID, they've gotten a lot of money. Where's that money going?
The university is flush with money. If you can figure out where that money is going, please let us know. Let me know. I'm really curious about it. But again, I would venture to say it goes to paying lawyers and administrators for their Wall Street debt and investments. That's my only guess.
It seems like this is an ongoing struggle of AFSCME. Many unions are in a constant struggle. Where's this going, and do you have a long-range strategy of how to deal with the attack on the workers at the University of California?
Yes, we're uniting with other unions, like the UAW 2865 over there. They're the unions of graduate student labor and undergraduate student labor, all students that are employed as GSIs, TAs, readers, and undergraduates who are hired to teach engineering and computer science classes. Again, cheap labor, right? So we've seen that UAW has been able to win certain battles, grievances regarding undergraduate employment and exploitation of undergraduates as teachers. And so we are following each other into this battle. UAW will be up for contract in June of this year, so we're very excited to join forces with them. And then the student organizations, the AFT-UC, YDSA, Green New Deal, you name them, they're all in support of us. Go check their Twitter, go check their Instagram, and you'll see that we're all together on this.
And the University of California has been rated first in the nation. It seems like that's on the backs of the workers now.
I'm thinking about this. I always see those ratings come out. Where do they come from? Who's making them? Is this like some sort of, I don't know, Rolling Stone top rock bands of the, I have no idea where their criterion comes from. I have some friends who are communications directors at other universities, and they try to explain that to me, but I still don't understand it.
Well, I guess they have a good communications department here at the university.
Well, you could
PR?
You could tell President Drake is, has got a communications director that probably writes all his, all his text, his speeches, all that kind of stuff. So you can't get through to him, and he can't get word out unless it goes through, that kind of a mediation.
And the rankings apparently don't have to do with how the workers are being treated.
Who doesn't?
The rankings in that apparently doesn't have to do with how workers are being treated.
What am I getting? I'm guessing maybe how much money a graduate makes in their first 5 years. I have no idea. No idea whatsoever what the criterion is.
So are you covered by health care, and what benefits do you have?
I'm fortunate enough to be covered right now, but I've spent vast periods of time teaching without health care and paying for it out of pocket because obviously healthcare is critical right now, so nobody wants to go without it. The way the university gets us to not get healthcare is through these self-terminating appointments that last for one term. So you'll get a letter in the beginning of your term that says you're going to be employed from August 18th and your employment ends December 15th, right? So you're technically not a full-time employee because you don't have an academic year contract. Now, I'm not saying all lecturers have this, but many of in my category, pre-6 lecturers, that is with under 6 years of experience in a single department, and we can get into multiple departments and what that means. But when the contract terminates, then you go back into the hiring pool, and if they need you again, they start you up on another short-term contract, and that is how they avoid paying health benefits. So if you do a look back, you could say to yourself, I taught in the fall, I taught in the spring, and I taught in the summer. That seems like full-time to me, but it's not full-time to the university. And the summer programs they don't even count as credit towards advancement, like towards a continuing lectureship of any kinds. It's more like a summer camp counselor kind of thing. You don't get any health benefits. You just get a lump of money at the end of your teaching. Your evaluations, some departments don't count evaluations from the summer term, so it's a complete farce. So that would be another thing we're trying to fight for, is trying to get those summer school teachers to be acknowledged and recognized. They're really doing teaching. A lot of times they have to compress 15 weeks of curriculum into 8, right? So they're actually doing a harder job sometimes.